Hey guys, this video lesson goes over surface area of prisms. Please make sure you have the notes open so you can follow along with me. Alright, so here we have a net. We are talking about prisms. That's no surprise. We've talked about what a prism is before. Remember, they have two bases. Whatever the base is helps name it. So we're talking triangular and rectangular prisms today. So here we have a net. We need to find the area of this net. So everything's a rectangle in what I can see right now. The biggest thing is making sure you label your sides correctly. So I like to label everything before I ever start finding area at all. The way I do it is picking a side, picking a number, so let's just pick 10 meters, and labeling everything I possibly can that is that side length. So because this side here is 10 meters, I know that every single one of these going down is the same exact length. So I can list or label 10 going all the way down this figure. So that will get rid of all of my 10s. And then I can label all of my, let's go 6 next, because that is 6. We know all of these are going to be 6 as well. So we can label our 6s. And then at the bottom, because this one here is 6, we also know across from that is going to be 6 as well. Then last but not least, we do have to label our 5. Because this side is 5, we know the other side is 5 as well. Same thing for this rectangle here and here. So we can label 5 and 5. And then same thing for up top. Because this side length here is 5 meters, this side here is also 5, because when I fold this net back up, those actually are the same exact side, right? They're a corner in my shape. So we can label our 5 all the way around here. Now, rectangular prisms should always have 2 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's. So what I mean by that, think about when we were finding area of polygons, we were splitting our shapes into different smaller shapes. Here we already have them split up, and we have 2 of every rectangle. So let's just go ahead and label. If I make my 5 by 6, let's make that shape A, my little flaps on the side there. If that is shape A, well, I have another one on the other side as well. That is a matching shape A, right? That's a 5 by 6 as well. So there's 2 shape A's. Let's make our shape B 5 by 10s. If you notice, I have another 5 by 10 right down here, which makes sense because rectangular prisms are just a box, right? One side of the box has to match the dimensions on the other side as well. And then finally, let's make shape C 10 by 6, and you can see we have 2 shape C's as well, which again makes sense. If you have a bottom of a box, well, the top or the lid is going to match that bottom perfectly. Otherwise, your lid would be too small or too big. So notice 2 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's. Once we have absolutely everything labeled, now we can find the area of each. So same way we found the area of polygons, I want to label it as neat as possible because we have a lot of work to do here. So shape A, again, a rectangle, so we're just doing base times height. So area equals, my base was 5 times my height, which was 6. Well, 5 times 6 is 30. Now, can't forget, we have 2 shape A's, so we need to take our 30, multiply by 2, and we get 60 meters squared for the area of just my shape A's. Then we can talk about shape B's. Shape B, we made that our 5 by 10, so area equals 5 times 10. 5 times 10 is 50. But again, we have 2 shape B's, so we have to do 50 times 2 to get 100 meters squared. That's my area for both shape B's. Last but not least, shape C's. We made those our 6 by 10s. 6 times 10 is 60. We have 2 shape C's, so 60 times 2 to get 120. Final step here, add all of our areas together. Forgot my units, there we go. 60 plus 100 plus 120 gives me a total surface area of 280 meters squared for this net. This next slide, nothing to write. All it's showing us is we just found the surface area of the rectangular prism. So we found the area of all of our sides, all 6 sides, added it together, and that is the surface area of our rectangular prism. All right, this next one, again, first thing you should do is label all of the sides that you can. Pick a number, start with that number, label as much as you can with that number. So let's look at 3. Since that is 3, we know all the way across here it's going to be 3 inches as well. So 3, 3. And then down at the bottom, we also have 3, 3 going all the way across. Then let's do 8. So 8 is the long part of these rectangles, so that means 8 is going all of the way up. So we can label each of those 8 inches as well. And then last but not least, we have our 5. 5 is right here. Since that is 5, we know across from that is 5 as well. So 5. And because that is 5, we know this side length right here is going to be 5, because when I fold this net up, they would actually be the same side. And then we can label 5 all the way around, and last but not least, all the way down there. So we have 2 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's. We should always have that in a rectangular prism. So let's make shape A, make that my 8 by 5s. I can see I have 2 of them. Shape B, let's make that our 8 by 3s. I, again, see I have 2 of them. And then shape C's can be my 5 by 3s. So same goal, we have to find the area of each one and then add them all together. So shape A, base times height, because we're still just talking rectangles. So 8 times 5, 8 times 5 is 40. We have to multiply 40 times 2 because I have 2 shape A's, and we get 80. Shape B, base times height, 8 times 3. 8 times 3 is 24. Multiply it by 2 because I have 2 shape B's. We get 48. Last but not least, shape C. Shape C was our 5 by 3s. 5 times 3 is 15. We need to multiply by 2 because I have 2 shape C's to get 30. Final step here, add all of your areas together. So 80 plus 48 plus 30. When I add all 3 of those together, you should get 158 inches squared. Total surface area. All right, here's a net. We're still doing the same exact thing, but this net is showing a triangular prism. Triangular prisms are different than rectangular, being that they have 2 bases still, but their bases are triangles this time, so we got to remember the formula for area of a triangle. And something's very different about the rectangles. Sometimes all 3 of those rectangles are different, sometimes all 3 of them are the same, and sometimes you have 2 rectangles that are the same and 1 that is different. Okay, so it's very different in saying rectangular prisms, you always have 2 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's. Triangular prisms, there is no pattern with your rectangles, but you can always count on these 2 triangles being identical. Okay, so we can automatically label those shape A, because they should and always will be exactly the same. Same base, same height. So shape A's, let's talk about shape B's. I'm just going to label one of my rectangles shape B. That's a 13 by 24. And when I do that, I can clearly see on the left-hand side, I have another rectangle that's also a 13 by 24. But in the middle, we're missing one of our dimensions. I see the 10, right? That's our base. But the height of this rectangle is actually going to be 24, right? And I know that because the height of this rectangle is 24 and they have to match. So I can label this shape C on the middle one here because that's a 10 by 24. So labeled everything. Now I can find all of my areas. Shape A was my triangles, so base times height, divide it by 2. My base was 10 times my height, which is 12, divided by 2. 10 times 12 is 120. Divided by 2 is 60. So that is the area of one of our triangles. We need to find the area of both of our triangles, which would be 120 centimeters squared. And then we can move on to shape B. Shape B was a rectangle, so base times height. Base was 13 times our height, which was 24. 13 times 24 is 312. We do have two shape Bs, so we need to do 312 times 2 to get 624. Finally, shape C, still a rectangle, so just base times height. Our base was 10, height was 240, well, 24. Then our area is 240. Now, we do not multiply by 2 on that one because I only have one shape C. Add all of your numbers together. We should be adding 120 plus 624 plus 240, 984 centimeters squared is our final surface area. All right, last but not least, we have a new shape here. It's going to be fairly simple, but I do want to make sure you guys understand how to solve for this. So what I'm actually looking at is a cube here, which means all of my sides are squares and they are all the same exact square. So to find the surface area for this, fairly simple. If I label my different shapes A, well, if all of the squares are the same, that means every single one of these is a shape A. So all I need to do is find the area of one of them. So area equals base times height for a square. So 6 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. That's the area of one of my shape A's. And instead, like a rectangular prism, we were multiplying by 2. In a triangular prism, sometimes we multiplied, sometimes we didn't. We can take our area of one of those and multiply it by 6 because I have 6 total squares that are all the same. 36 times 6 is 216 centimeters squared, and that would be your surface area. The rest of the slides are all practice for you to do on your own. Please make sure you check the key when you finish so that you know you did it correctly.